Hello, hello, how are you this morning? It's very good to be back with you, although I am extremely cold. It's another cold day, isn't it? So I should get my thermals out, really. Now I've told you I wear thermals. It's the only way to survive cold churches in the winter, I can tell you. Oh, I've had one of those weeks where I have had so many reminders about something. And I think, yeah, God, okay, I've heard you. The reminders are all about the importance of prayer. I seem to have had a lot of conversations about prayer. I seem to have read a lot of things reminding me or encouraging me in prayer. And whilst I do make time every single day to pray, and I pray for you and for people that are named to me and situations, sometimes prayer needs to be more than a list, doesn't it? And when I've had a lot of reminders about something, I just sort of take the hint really and sit for a moment and think, why am I getting a lot of pointers towards X or Y, or in this case, prayer? So I thought I'd share that with you and ask you, do you pray? Do you pray enough? Do you like the way you pray? So many questions. Prayer is just fascinating. For me, it's a conversation with God, and it's something that I have to do every day if I'm going to be able to minister well and to care well. I can only do that in God's strength, and prayer is the start of that process. But sometimes it's really hard to know how to start, isn't it? And I talk to lots of people who say, I don't know what to pray. I don't know how to pray. No one's ever taught me. Did you know you don't need special words? There are no holy words that have to be said in a prayer. It's that conversation thing I mentioned. We need to say what's on our hearts. We need to ask for things. We need to say sorry for things. We need to give thanks. There's something called a teaspoon prayer. It's a lovely thing to teach children and grandchildren, but it works for adults as well. Teaspoon, or in a cookery recipe, is TSP, isn't it? And the TSP stands for thank you, sorry, and please. Just the kind of three things to try to remember to include in your prayers. So I'm taking the hint from God that I need to spend a little bit more time in prayer. And I'm encouraging you to think about your prayer life and whether or not you pray at all, whether you'd like to pray but don't know how to get started, or perhaps you want to think about some different ways of praying, because there are many different ways. You're in good company if you're not quite sure where to start. There's a lovely passage, and I've dug it up. It's in my Bible here in Matthew's Gospel. He sat with the disciples, and the disciples said, we don't know how to pray. Will you teach us? How do we do it? And Jesus says to them, this is how you do it. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Amen. You probably recognise that. It's a fairly modern version of the Lord's Prayer. Doesn't matter which version you use. I've just read the one that's in this particular Bible, not least because sometimes it helps to shake it up a little bit and try a different version. It makes us think a little bit more about the actual words that we're saying or praying, rather than them being rote. And sometimes when we do things rote, we don't process them quite so well. We don't really think about what we're saying. So for me, it's quite a good practice to sometimes read a different version. You'll also notice there's a bit missing from that as the Lord's Prayer. If you're used to doing Evensong, you'll know that version. But some of us, a lot of us, are used to tagging on to the end, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. That's a modern edition. The piece straight from the Bible doesn't have those last 3 lines tagged on. Again, say them if that's what you're used to. But there's my offering to you. If you want to pray and don't know where to start, do what the disciples did. Ask Jesus. He gave them the Lord's Prayer. Start with the Lord's Prayer if you don't know what else to start with. If you want some other ideas about that or want to know about some books, give me a ring, drop me a line and we can talk about it. Perhaps we need to explore prayer together and the very many different ways there are of praying. Hey, that's enough, isn't it? Quite a heavy one this morning. Get those praying heads on and let me know how it goes. And if you want me to be praying with you or for you, please let me know, because it is my pleasure and privilege to pray on your behalf or with you. And there, I think I'm going to leave it. Have a lovely day, and I shall talk to some of you. And I'm going to be getting the service ready for Sunday. That's my job for today. Have a good one. Lots of love. God bless. Bye-bye.